Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting right through the noise and handing you a really powerful linguistic shortcut.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive into the language you need for, well, decisions, conflict, delays, that kind of thing.
Exactly. We're talking phrasal verbs.
That's right. And look, if you want to elevate your English, like immediately, you really need to get a handle on these.
They're tricky though, aren't they?
They are, because the meaning, it doesn't just come from the two words separately, the verb and the preposition. It's something else entirely.
But they're absolutely essential for sounding, well, natural, for functional English.
Totally. They're the connective tissue.
So our mission today is pretty laser focused. We've pulled four high-impact phrasal verbs from the source material.
And these really govern how we deal with options, how we interact with people.
Think of them as maybe four pillars for interacting strategically, professionally.
Like casually, too. We're going beyond just definitions here. We want you to walk away knowing not just what they mean, but actually how to use them effectively.
Right then. Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to kick off with a real classic, one that seems to confuse people quite a bit because it sort of has two different personalities. Put off.
The first one, probably the most common, is all about scheduling, about timing. It just means to postpone something, right? Delay it.
We all know this one.
Oh, yeah, we all do it. Procrastination basically is putting things off.
Huh, too true. That feeling when you've got a huge report due and you just think, okay, I'm going to put off starting that until after lunch,
Yeah.
that immediate delay.
Exactly. Or putting off a dentist appointment, putting off studying.
Yeah, the classic. Don't put off studying until the night before the exam.
Right. And it's interesting psychologically because it implies that choice to delay things. Often because, well, you don't feel like it or something else seems more important.
Like that advice, don't put off saving for retirement. It's fighting against that natural inertia, isn't it?
Precisely. There's often an urgency implied when you tell someone not to put something off.
Okay, but then there's the second meaning. And this is where it gets maybe a little darker. It shifts from scheduling to feelings.
Yeah. The sources show put off also means to discourage someone, to make them lose interest or enthusiasm. Completely.
That difference is huge.
It really is. In the first case, the thing being put off is the task, right? The studying, the meeting. But in the second case, the thing being affected is the person's desire, their motivation.
I find this one really fascinating because it often connects to, like, sensory stuff or personality clashes.
What do you mean?
Well, like, imagine you're looking at an apartment to rent. You walk in, and the smell is just awful. You might say, ugh, the smell really put me off.
Right? It didn't delay you signing the lease. It made you not want it at all.
Exactly. Or professionally.
Okay.
Say you pitch a great idea in a meeting, but your manager is just really rude or dismissive.
Okay.
You might feel afterwards, that attitude really put me off sharing any more ideas in there.
Yeah, that interaction itself was actively discouraging. It shut you down.
So for you, the listener, you have to figure out instantly which meaning is intended. How do you do that?
Well, you really have to look at the consequence, the outcome. Is the result a change in timing? Then it's delay.
Okay.
Is the result a change in emotion, in desire, in interest? Then it's discouragement.
Yeah.
Getting this difference, understanding that context. Well, it really boosts your fluency because these dual meaning phrases are just so common.
Makes sense. Okay, shifting gears a bit. If put off handles delay and discouragement, our next phrase is all about decisiveness, elimination. We're moving to rule out.
Yes, rule out. This is a smart one. Logical, definitive.
Yeah.
Its whole purpose is to eliminate an option, to reject it, to say with certainty, nope, that's not possible, or that's not on the table anymore.
It's like crossing something off a list for good.
Exactly that. It removes ambiguity, which is why you hear it all the time in fields that need clear analysis.
Like medicine.
Absolutely. Think about a doctor trying to figure out what's wrong. They run tests specifically to rule out the most serious possibilities first. When they say, okay, we've ruled out a bacterial infection, they're not just guessing. They're making a strong statement based on evidence.
And the opposite works too, right? If I say, well, I can't rule out grabbing pizza tonight.
Then pizza is still very much a possibility. It's that kind of double negative that actually confirms something is still possible.
It seems really useful for managing risk or just making decisions when you have too many options.
It is. Imagine you're brainstorming maybe 20 ideas for a marketing campaign. The fastest way forward might not be picking one winner immediately.
But ruling out the 15, that definitely won't work.
Precisely. It narrows the field logically.
I can see this being super useful in professional settings. Instead of just saying, I won't do X, which can sound a bit blunt,
Mm-hmm.
you could say, well, I haven't ruled out X yet, but I am leaning towards Y. It sounds more considered. It's strategic.
It does. It shows you've thought about different angles. If we connect this to the bigger picture, using rule out accurately really helps clear professional communication because it forces you to be precise about what's relevant and what's not.
And quick point here, sometimes you see it used with als or for, right? Like explaining why something was ruled out.
Oh, absolutely. Good point. You might hear the police ruled out the neighbor as a suspect because he had a solid alibi.
Okay.
Or the team ruled out budget constraints for the project delay. It was something else. Adding as or for often clarifies the reason, the evidence behind the elimination, makes a statement even stronger.
Got it. Okay, so from logic and elimination, let's switch tracks again. Let's talk loyalty. Courage, even.
Oh, okay.
Our third pillar moves from that cool logic to something warmer. Defense. Stick up for someone.
Right. This one means to defend someone, to support them, especially, when other people are criticizing them or maybe treating them unfairly.
It feels active, like you're jumping in.
It really implies immediate active intervention. It's about being there for someone right when they need that support.
It definitely takes a bit of courage sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sources had some good personal examples.
Like what?
Well, imagine a colleague is getting blamed for a mistake, but you know they didn't do it. Stepping in and saying, hang on, wait a minute. I need to stick up for Sarah here. I know who actually sent that email.
Yeah, that's loyalty in action, isn't it? You hear it in personal stories all the time. Nobody believed his side of things, but his best friend stuck up for him right away. It signals solidarity, trust.
Now, here's something I always get a bit fuzzy on. What's the real difference between stick up for and stand up for? They feel so similar.
That's a really good question. They are very close. But there's a subtle nuance, mainly around formality and maybe duration.
Okay.
Stand up for often implies defending something bigger, like a principle or a cause, maybe over a longer term. Standing up for human rights or standing up for what you believe in. It feels a bit more formal, perhaps more organized.
I think I see. So stand up for is more for the big ideals, the long haul.
Kind of, yeah. Whereas stick up for feels more spontaneous, more personal and immediate.
Like in the moment.
Exactly. It sounds more casual, more friendly. If someone makes a quick critical remark about your friend in a conversation and you defend them, your friend might say, hey, thanks for sticking up for me back there.
You probably wouldn't say, thanks for standing up for me.
Yeah.
In that quick, casual situation.
Probably not, unless it was a really, really serious issue being discussed. Stick up for just fits those everyday, spur-of-the-moment defenses better. It's the language of friendship, quick solidarity.
That makes sense. It's almost like a litmus test for relationships, isn't it? Who actually sticks up for you when things get a little tough, or even when you're not in the room?
Absolutely. That tells you a lot. It's a phrase that signals, okay, the conversation has shifted, and now some personal support, some advocacy is needed.
Okay, great distinction. So finally, our fourth strategic pillar. This one brings us back to decision-making, but it emphasizes pausing before acting. Think over.
Yes, think over. This is all about strategic reflection. It means considering something carefully, really taking the time you need to weigh the pros and cons before you actually commit to a decision.
It pushes back against rushing into things.
Precisely. It explicitly says, hold on, I needed time. You hear this constantly in business, right? In negotiations.
Definitely. If a company gets a complex merger proposal, the CEO isn't going to say yes or no on the spot. They'll say,
we need time to think over this deal thoroughly.
Exactly. It's asking for that cooling off period, that space for careful consideration.
And it works personally, too. If a friend asks for advice on something really major, you might say,
wow, okay, that's big. I need to think over your situation properly before I just jump in with an opinion.
Yeah. It shows you recognize the importance, and you don't want to give a rushed, bad answer.
Okay, but this next bit, this is where it gets really interesting, right? The grammar point you mentioned. This is apparently a big signal for fluency.
Yes. We absolutely have to highlight this. It's about where you put the object, especially if it's a pronoun like it or them.
Okay.
Think over is what we call a separable phrasal verb. That means when the object is short, specifically a pronoun, it must go in the middle, between think and over.
So if someone gives me an offer, I can't say, I need to think over it. That sounds a bit off now that you mention it.
It sounds off because in standard usage, it's incorrect. You must say, I need to think it over.
Think it over.
Think it over. Think them over. Think this over. That short object has to be sandwiched right in the middle.
Like other common ones.
Correct.
Figure it out.
Exactly. Or work it out, call them back, turn it down. Same structure. The verb and the preposition need that short object right between them.
Wow. Okay, just getting that structure right, thinking over, that alone is a huge shortcut to sounding more fluent, isn't it?
It really is. It shows you've got control over the mechanics, the patterns of English. So think over equals strategic pause, and think it over equals grammatical competence. Big win.
Okay, fantastic. So we've broken down the definitions, the nuances, that crucial grammar point. Now let's see how these four pillars actually work together in a real-life kind of narrative.
Yeah, let's put them through their paces. This is the synthesis part, connecting that decision management, the elimination, the defense, and the reflection.
Let's imagine a scenario, like a big life challenge, where all these things might happen pretty close together.
Okay, like someone gets a major opportunity.
Yeah. Let's say our character Alex gets a life-changing job offer,
Yeah.
suddenly. Highly competitive. But it's in a completely different country. They can't just say yes immediately.
Right. So Alex's first instinct, strategic reflection. Wow, I got the offer. I knew straight away I'd have to think it over carefully before answering. Buy some time.
But time also means, other people weighing in. Maybe Alex's family is worried. They start expressing doubts.
Okay, so maybe my parents tried everything to put me off going. They talked about how difficult it would be, how far away. That's the emotional discouragement kicking in.
Exactly. But then maybe someone else steps in. A mentor, perhaps. Someone who sees the potential.
Right, the champion arrives. Luckily, my mentor really stuck up for my ambition, reminded everyone what a huge opportunity this was. There's the defense, the loyalty.
Perfect. So Alex has reflected, felt the pressure, received support. Now comes the decision. The elimination.
So weighing everything up. In the end, after thinking it all through, I happily ruled out staying home. I took the job and signed the contract. Decisive elimination.
That little story really covers it, doesn't it? The whole cycle.
It does. You delay or you get discouraged. You need time to reflect. You need someone to stick up for you. And then eventually you have to rule things out to move forward. These four phrases, they're the words we use to describe that whole process in natural, fluent English.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Well, it means you've got the tools now for handling decisions, discussions, disagreements, all in English.
Yeah, we've seen put-off covers, both delaying things and being discouraged. Rule out gives you that power of logical elimination.
Stick up for, that's your language, for loyalty, for defense.
And think over, especially think it over, gives you that vital space for careful, strategic thought.
And the real value here, like we said at the start, isn't just knowing the definitions, it's actually using them.
Absolutely. The best way, the only way really, to make these phrases stick is to start using them, like today.
So that's the challenge for you. Think about a decision you're wrestling with right now, or one you made recently. Can you use these phrases to talk about it?
Did someone try to put you off? Did you need to think it over for a few days? Had a friend stick up for your choice? What options did you finally have to rule out?
Don't put off trying them out. And remember to stick up for your own English learning journey.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. That moment when you correctly use think it over in a tricky conversation. You're not just using grammar well, you're actually projecting confidence, competence. You're showing you have that mastery of strategic patience. Now, go find a situation where you can rule out some ambiguity.